The first example of a mixed number is not particularly complicated, but it does demonstrate the points you need to learn. So 3/4 and 7/16 are pretty common measurements in the trade, especially if you're working in inches. So 3/4 of an inch, I'm going to change into a 16th to have a common denominator. As you know, 4 goes into 16, so let's make it into 16ths. So 4 goes into 16 4 times, so 3 times 4 is going to be 12/16. So 2 and 12/16 added to 4 and 7/16 is going to give you a grand total. 2 and 4 is a whole number 6, and it's going to give you 19/16. Now 19/16 is more than a whole. So there's two ways to look at this. You could break down the 19/16 in your head, or you can do it with a pattern. I think the head is okay here. So we have the whole number 6, plus we have a whole number because we have 16/16, plus the extra 3/16, because that gives you 19/16. So the 16/16 is a 1, so it becomes a whole number 7 and 3/16. 16/16 is the 1. Now, that method is pretty straightforward. Some students in their previous life learned to change all mixed numbers into improper fractions and add them that way. I don't like this method, but we'll do it. The method I just did is my preferred method. So if you don't like this second method, please don't use it. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So 11/4. 4 times 16 is 64, plus 7 is 71/16. So all I've done is change the original fractions into impropers. Done nothing but finding denominators yet. Now to find the common denominator, it's the same procedure. It's going to be 16ths again. So we're going to add these together. So 71/16 will remain 71/16. 11/4, 4 goes into 16 4 times. So 11 times 4 will be 44/16. So now we're going to add. Keep our 16ths together. 44 and 71 is going to be 115/16. To break that down, 16 goes into 115 7 times. 7 times 16 is 112. So 3 left over. I don't like the method on the right. I find it is working with bigger numbers where they're not necessary. But to each his own. If you prefer that method, that's your choice. Okay, we have a new question. Mixed numbers, 25 and 11/18 minus 15 and 29/45. Common denominator of this business. If we did by multiple method, 45 times 1 is 45, times 2 is 90, and I know 18 goes into 90 as well. 18 times 1 is 18, times 2 is 36, times 3 is 54, and 72, and then 90. So of course 90 is the lowest common denominator. Do the same thing with our prime numbers for practice. 45 is 9 times 5, so 3 squared times 5. 18 is 9 times 2, so 2 times 3 squared. So our lowest common denominator's got to have at least a 2. The highest power of 3 is 3 squared and a 5. So 2 times 9 is 18, times 5 is 90. Okay, now we have our lowest common denominator. We're going to make equivalent fractions, and we're going to subtract. So how many times does 18 go into 90? 18 goes into 90 5 times. So 11 times 5 is 55. 45 goes into 90 twice. So 29 times 2 is 58. You subtract those whole numbers, there's a problem because you can't take 58 from 55. So now you have to go to plan B. This won't subtract from that. So now we are going to borrow. We're going to borrow from the whole number by 1. We're going to bring 25 down to 24. And of course, 24 plus 1 is 25. We're going to take the 1 and we're going to convert it into 90 over 90. And we're going to add to that the 55 over 90. So basically the entire first fraction is going to go from 25 and 55 90ths to 24 and 145 90ths. So that when we subtract, our second number is smaller than the first number. So 24 minus 15, of course, is 9. And then we're going to have, out of 90, 87 when you subtract. And that fraction can be further reduced because they're both divisible by 3. So it becomes ultimately 9 and 29 over 30. That's the method by using mixed numbers. And that seems to be a logical way to do that question. One more. If you had 12 and you want to take away from that 4 3/8, you need to make the 12 into a fraction. So you take 12 and do 11 plus 1. So the 1 becomes an 1/8. So 11 and 8/8 is the same thing as 12. Because now you can subtract the whole numbers and the fractions to get your answer. 11 minus 4 becomes 7, and 8 minus 3 becomes 5. 7 5/8.